Retro Mondays.
Hey gamers, I'm K-Wing and it's time once again to turn your Monday into a fun day. Today we're heading back to the world of Amazons, Dwarfs, and Warrior Kings. It's Golden Axe 2 for the Sega Genesis. Not to be confused with the Revenge of Death Adder in the arcades. You know, the one with that scimitar chick and Gilius riding a giant? No, we're hijacking a DeLorean to the year 1991. With this side-scrolling hack-and-slash Genesis sequel featuring the original Golden Axe cast. Story's pretty much the same, minus Death Adder, who's still worm food by the way. A few years have passed until a new threat rises from the underworld and wants to destroy, well, everything. Also, somehow he manages to have the Golden Axe too. Don't ask, I don't really know how that really works. Golden Axe 2 features two modes. Are you sensing a theme here with the twos? A story mode and duel mode, where you battle a bunch of enemies in an arena setting. Here the difficulty will increase slightly depending on how long you can actually last. As for the main game, you once again select three characters: Axe Battler, Tyrus Flare, and Gilius Thunderhead, who now doesn't even use the lightning. Okay. Gameplay's been fine-tuned a bit for the second entry though. Well, everything but the enemy's intelligence. They're still dumber than a bunch of rocks. I've seen smarter lemmings, folks. Nonetheless, other things have been improved slightly. Like choosing what direction to throw bad guys off cliffs, that's always fun. Better handling for riding the beast, check. And an improved back attack, which now attacks everyone around the heroes. The only problem is, it doesn't always work. No, really, I held in the B and C buttons half the time and I ended up in this painful sandwich, which by the way, wasn't very pleasant, especially facing off against my bonehead nemesis once again. These things. Hate them. Anyway, Magic uses a meter this time around and gives players more control unlike the last game, which is awesome! No longer did I need to worry about wasting my top spells by accident. I simply held in the A button and then decided what type of magic was necessary. Then beat up a bunch of evil wizard midgets to get more books. Life was pretty good, folks, except if you were a tiny wizard midget or dog-faced man. Honestly, Golden Axe 2 wasn't that bad of a game. It just wasn't spectacular either. While the game's sprites and visuals were improved vastly, the enemy's movement and size was exactly the same as before. No, really, it was. The music also felt like a step back from the series too. Now don't get me wrong, I really like what the composer has done later on in his career, but the only good songs that are in this game is Ravaged Village and the boss theme, which are epic. The rest of the soundtrack, it doesn't even come close to standing in the shadow of the original Golden Axe, let alone surpassing it. That and the sound effects are just plain terrible in this game. You sound like you're beating a poor old woman to death. Yeah, disturbing. That and as a kid, this game just felt so boring. Which I never really figured out why, because gameplay-wise, it's superior to Golden Axe in every sense of the way. And look, I know they lowered the difficulty a smidge and added a cheat code here and there so you can get more continues, but for many fans, it just felt like this was a soulless sequel, and that's a real shame. Now, Streets of Rage 2 proves that sequels can surpass its predecessor, and then some. So, I know what you're all thinking. What actually became of the Golden Axe series after Golden Axe 2? Well, because of the critics' poor reception and low sales of the game, Golden Axe went back to the arcades and stayed in Japan. Well, mostly. As mentioned before, a sequel hit the arcades in 1992 and featured an all-new group led by Gilius. What is this guy, immortal? This arcade game was very popular, and I mean incredibly popular. But Sega never ported it to the Saturn, which was dumb because they missed a golden opportunity. Now in 1993, Sega announced Golden Axe 3 and many people thought, finally we get to play the real Golden Axe 2, but guess what? No such luck. Once again, the immortal Gilius is alive centuries later and ordering 4 new young warriors around. The game was pretty much a flop though and never made it outside of Japan, until the Wii's Virtual Console in 2007, and then the rest of the world got to play this suckage. Alas, this wasn't the end of our tale, though. In 1994, Sega released The Duel, a fighting game with Golden Axe characters, and brought this one to the Saturn and the United States of America. Thankfully, the franchise did get an awesome remake for the PS2 in Japan. It was part of the Sega Ages collection, and this actually did finally make it over to the States later on. And I have it, and it rocks! But sadly, in 2008, Golden Axe encountered a foe it could not slay, and was thus defeated with Golden Axe Beast Rider. And that is all I dare say about that game, because it just fills me with so much rage. Looking back on Golden Axe 2, though, the game really wasn't that bad. Yes, it was definitely not the true sequel fans wanted, but for its time, it was a pretty great Sega Genesis game. The subtle changes make this an excellent game to play both by yourself and with a friend. I mean, seriously, who doesn't love just hacking tons of random bad guys and throwing them off cliffs? Show of hands? Listen, if you're looking for a fun medieval fantasy game to play on the Sega Genesis, then look no further than Golden Axe sequel, Golden Axe 2, which is also available to download on the Wii's Virtual Console 2. There we go with the 2 jokes again. And that is a wrap, folks. Thanks so much for watching. Please share and like this video because it helps us out a lot. More retro fun awaits you in the description. If you have any suggestions for Sega Genesis games for me to play, leave a comment below. Well, until we meet again, gamers, God bless and happy gaming. I'll be seeing ya. Go slay some monsters.